One of the nicest parts of being in business is when I hear from people asking me questions about some aspect of how they can run their business or evolve their business or best practice. And so I get a lot of questions like that. And as I say, it's a thrill. I feel blessed that I get them. And so in today's video, I'm going to be running through a ton that I've got over the past few months because I haven't made one of these videos for a while. And so whether you have emailed me or sent me a message or left a comment on one of the social media channels, the Facebook, the Instagram, the LinkedIn, or here on YouTube, on my blog post, then in today's video, I'm going to run through as many of those questions as I possibly can. Keep watching. Hey, Mike Blissett here, founder of Speak Like a Pro Online, sharing ideas, tools and techniques to help you speak with more confidence, make better videos and grow your business. On this channel you see book review, tech and how-to videos just like this one. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. And in today's video, I'm going to be running through as many questions as I possibly can get through that I've been asked over the past few months, whether that's online or offline, about how you can build your business or grow your brand or move it more into the online space. So let's jump in. And to begin, Joel asks, what are you working on right now? Now, that's a great question. And obviously, I'm working on this video and the kind of general areas that I work on in my business that I think you probably know about. In that it's the coaching, the training, the speaking, the making videos and writing and researching them. So that's all going on as always. A new project that I'm working on at the moment is with a fellow coach and trainer, and it's developing what could be a new program that might launch in the new year. And so I'm not really giving anything away on that yet because we're still evolving the ideas, but that's something fresh. It's working with somebody that I haven't worked with before on a program like this, which will potentially be online and offline. And so keep your ears peeled. I'll be sharing more information on that as it begins to happen. But as I say, that's something that's new and fresh and interesting that I'm just starting to develop with a colleague at the moment. Sean asks, how do you keep your ideas fresh and interesting? Well, first of all, Sean, thank you that you feel they are fresh and interesting. I appreciate that. And I guess there's a few things. Number one is if you do what you love to do, then chances are it's going to be interesting and fresh. At least that's what I think. And also keep working with new people, keep pushing the boundaries, keep researching, finding new aspects, perspectives, etc. And just keep it interesting. And if you keep it interesting, then chances are whatever you come up with regards to your writing or your videos or whatever you do, then chances are that's going to be interesting too. So hopefully that helps. Next is a question from Kevin, and he asks, what made me start out in this business? Wow, it's as of filming this video, I think it's 17 years now as a coach, and then the training and the speaking and online kind of followed on from that. So what started me on this business is that I wanted to have, I guess looking back, I can see what it was, but I think what I wanted was a sense of freedom in that I worked for an employer. I worked in a bank, as you probably know if you've heard my other stories and other videos. And there's nothing wrong with working at the bank, and it was a good employer and there were nice people there. It just wasn't me anymore. And sometimes when I'm sharing this, when I'm speaking and training with groups, I kind of share that it just felt like at that point in my life, I reached my sell-by date. And so I just wanted something new. As I say now, looking back on that time, I realized what I was looking for was a sense of freedom, in that I would be running my own business. George asks, what do I enjoy most about being a coach and trainer? I think that's easy, the people. It really is. I love working with individual clients and also with groups of people, because when I work with somebody new, it's all fresh. I might have coached on that subject before, I might have spoken or even delivered that training program before, but never with those people. And so that dynamic is always interesting, and that for me is a thrill. It kind of takes me back to when I was a singer all those years ago. I might have sung that song and done that show hundreds of times before, but on that night with that audience, with those people, it was new. And that's what I like. And so I still get a sense of that even now today. Sharon asks, what advice would I give my younger self? And I think this is, as well as a great question, I think it's common for a lot of people, in that the advice I would give myself is to be more brave. Now, looking back to when I was growing up and when I was a singer, and equally since then in business, I can see the times when I wobbled, when I didn't step forward, when I was too shy to do what I really wanted to do, and I stopped myself, or maybe I negated myself, or played a smaller game. I can see, looking back now, and it's great, to look back in hindsight. We can all look back in hindsight, but if I was giving that younger self that advice, it would be, just to be brave, just to step into the unknown, into the adventure, and as Susan Jeffers said in her very famous book, feel the fear and do it anyway. Because I can tell you that the times when I have done that, and again, I think this is common for most people, but the times when I have stepped into the newness, into the stretch zone, as coaches say, and into the unknown, into the adventure, it's usually panned out really well. It's been a good thing. So yeah, that's the one piece of advice I'd give myself. Mary asks, if I wasn't a coach and speaker, what else would I be? That's a great question. I've always kind of had a romantic vision in my head of seeing myself as a writer. And I know I write already, and I know I've done a few ebooks and regular books as well, personal development books. But what I mean by writer is a novelist. So maybe that's going to happen at some point. But yeah, if I wasn't a coach and a trainer or a speaker, I would like to see myself as a writer. Next question is from John, and John asks, what qualifications or training do you need to be a successful coach or trainer? Now, I think the bottom line is that, as far as I know, neither of the professions are regulated, and so you don't need to be trained or qualified. And I think to have some authority and carry some weight in your industry, whichever industry or both industries you might want to be in, the more recognized qualifications and training and certification you have is only gonna add to your own sense of worth and also your credibility from an employer's or prospective client's point of view. So for coaching, I think it's really good to get some coach training, some foundational coach training, and also then specific coach training as you evolve what you want to do. So whether that's in business or working in leadership or working with young people or working with entrepreneurs, for example. And as a trainer, the training I always look back on as the most beneficial for me was the NLP trainers training. And so whilst I'm trained and qualified to be an NLP trainer, I've never actually used that to train other people to become NLP practitioners or master practitioners, but rather use the toolkit to help me train the subjects, the areas that I train within business. And it's just made me a better trainer. Next question is from Maxine. Thanks for your question, Maxine. And the question is, how do I see the coaching and training industry changing in the next few years? Now, from my own perspective, I think that it's going to be more and more moving towards the online world. So I don't think that in-house training and coaching is going to disappear. People are always going to want to do that. That's my own belief. And I think that the online potential of it as well is only going to grow. I think it's already happening. Obviously, you're listening to this, and some of us have got online courses and they've been around for a few years now. But I think that is only going to grow. It's going to become even more accessible to more people, and it's not just going to be recorded, it's going to be interactive, it's going to be real time, it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to evolve in ways that I think as technology and things like smartphones and computers and all the rest of it, AI is evolving, I think it's only going to grow. So that's why I can see coaching and training moving even more into the world of online over the next few years. Hopefully that's useful for you. David asks, what does success look like for you? Great question. For me, if I'm feeling happy, if I'm feeling connected to my audience, whether that's an individual client or whether that's a group of people, we're in a synergy, we're kind of happy with each other, and I can sense that we're moving forward, then I'm in a happy place. I really, really like that. I want the best for the people that my courses and my training and my coaching touches, and so that's how I see success. Sarah asks, what skills or qualities are important to build a successful online or offline business? Gosh, big question. I think certainly number one, people. You got to like people, because we're in the people business. So whether you're a coach, a trainer, a speaker, consultant, facilitator, we're talking about you working with people. It helps if you like people. I don't think you can fake that. And also attached to that is you're going to enjoy what you do. Again, there's so many professions, things we can do with our life. And I think if you can do something and build something in business that you genuinely love to do, whether people pay you to do it or not, you genuinely love doing it, that's going to shine through. Carol asks, coach, trainer or speaker, which do I prefer and have the most fun with? Wow, that's an interesting question. I find that if I have a little time where I'm doing a lot of one of them or one or two of them, I start to miss the other. So for me, it's the balance that I actually like. So, and if I get the balance right and I'm doing some speaking, I'm doing some training, I'm doing some coaching, and then when I'm doing it, boy, am I having fun. So I think there's no one or the other. Drew asks, how do you have a work-life balance when you're making videos all the time? Well, number one, I'm not making videos all the time. I release one video a week, and sometimes I stack videos. And what I mean by that is, whilst I'm researching and I'm coming up with ideas, most of the time, because I've just got my eyes open and my perspective open, I usually set a day or two per month aside and then film a bunch of videos. And I might not edit them all at the same time. I could kind of roll those out over the next month or 6 weeks and then release them as and when. So what that means is that I'm not necessarily filming all the time. Most of the time I'm doing other stuff, but I'm always thinking about or is this a good angle? Is this something to film on my phone just as a kind of a B-roll, something that's a supplementary shot like traffic or people or coffee shops or whatever, which you see in my videos. But yeah, I don't spend all the time shooting videos. And I think, again, the bottom line, I think the theme going through most of this is that the reason I make videos is because I actually enjoy making videos. Next question is from Katie, and Katie asks, is there still an opportunity for new coaches in the world today? And the answer is, I believe yes. And the reason I say yes is that there has never been a coach like you. So if you can, as I said a few questions ago, encapsulate and really share a sense of who you are, what kind of coach you are, then I think there's a space for you, because there's never been another you. Next question is Chloe, and Chloe asks, how do I plan or organize a workflow in a typical week? Now, I think you've probably gathered that there isn't a typical week for me, in that there are coaching sessions and training and speaking and writing and filming videos. But for the most part, there are two things I do. Number one is I work from my calendar. So I put appointments either on my laptop or on my phone, and it's all synced, and so I can see what my appointments are. Usually Monday is what I call my marketing day. So that's the day I don't book any other appointments. I just work on my business rather than in my business. So whether it's marketing, or whether it's sometimes videos or editing or optimizing, SEOing and all this kind of stuff, that takes place on a Monday. Usually there are a couple of days when I'm training, and then there are equally a couple of days when I'm coaching, and I usually segment them in that there's usually one day where it's telephone coaching or Skype or Zoom coaching, so I can be at home or I can be in the office. I can be in one place where I do that. And then the other day is usually when I'm coaching at clients. So I could be traveling between offices or between coffee shops or hotel lobbies, the kind of places I do my coaching sessions in. So I tend to have days that are designated for certain things. So those go in my diary. And remembering what to do and just keeping the ideas at the forefront of my mind, but not overwhelming me, I use an app called To Do, and I'll leave a link just below this video so you can check it out. I just found this app a few months ago, and it's great. It's basically a to-do list, and you can drag and drop these and mark them off as you're doing them each and every day, and have different lists. So rather than having a scribble to-do lists, which I think we all have, and I certainly have, stuffed in pockets and my wallet and bag and everything all the time, now it's just on my phone, and that syncs with the app that's on my computer as well. So again, like the diary, I can pick it up from anywhere and interact with it anywhere as well. So that's how I plan and organize my week. Jane asks, how do you come up with new ideas for videos and courses on such a regular basis? Well, firstly, thank you. And the way that I do it is that I subscribe to so many other YouTube channels. So I'm not just a YouTube creator. Even if I didn't create videos, I actually like hanging out and following and subscribing and getting a buzz and being entertained by YouTube videos. And so again, all coaches, I think we do this. We walk our talk. And so I'm a YouTube addict anyway. Harris asks, what is the most embarrassing thing that's happened to you when you were training? Great question. I think probably myself and many other trainers, we could probably write a book about this. All the silly things like falling off the stage, dropping the mic, forgetting what to say, getting the training rooms, the cities wrong when you're introducing yourself. I mean, there's so many things. So probably a couple of things that come to mind now, and they're both kind of slightly bathroom stories. Number one is leaving my mic on, the radio mic, when I went to the toilet one time and chatting to another guy while we're in the bathroom, you're washing hands and all this stuff, and then when coming back to the training room, the whole training room were laughing, because thankfully I hadn't been gossiping or bitching about the delegates in the training room. But yeah, just remembering to turn the mic off would be very useful. And the other one, another bathroom story, is coming back into the training room and speaking to the group, and then setting a quick exercise for the group to do, and then a woman came and stood right in front of me, like really close, like invading your space kind of close, and I was kind of a little bit shocked, and I said yes, and she said, Mike, your flies are undone. Shall I stand here while you do them up? And I said, yes, please. And so she did, and I zipped my fly up, and then she went to sit down again. So again, it's just another one of the stories. So many to tell. Some of them are bathroom related, obviously, but there's so many techie stories and getting the information wrong, and oh my God, there's so many things. George asks, do I ever get nervous before speaking to an audience or shooting a new video? And the answer to that is yes, sometimes I do. In that, even though I might have delivered that content many times, sometimes hundreds of times before, as I said earlier with another question, that, you know, when I do it for this group with this combination of people, it's the first night all over again, and I think that's a good thing to have. It means that I have respect for the audience. And again, for the video, you know, I think whilst we build up our experience, you know, I know how, even if I get nervous before speaking to a live audience, or even if I get nervous before shooting a video, you know, I still know how to do it, but equally to have that a sense of anticipation, anxiety, you know, and knowing how to rechannel that, to repurpose that into adrenaline, you know, so that you, my audience, whether it's in the room or whether it's on the video, have my full attention, I think is a good thing. Mike asks, how do I take care of my voice? And that's a great question. As you know, I used to be a singer for many years, so I still do my vocal rehearsals. You know, I do my scales and arpeggios and all this kind of stuff on a regular basis, and especially if I know I've got some you know, kind of full-on training, as I call it, coming up, like 2 or 3 days of training, I will spend a week or two before that spending an hour a day going through my vocal training, vocal gymnastics as I call it, so that I keep the muscles, the vocal cords, supple and strong, and you know, kind of build up the strength that I'll need so that I can use my voice and project my voice in the way that I will need to do with a bigger gig, you know, 2 or 3 days training, as I say, without hurting my voice. Bill asks, what is the worst question I've ever been asked by a member of an audience? Well, that's a good question. I used to do stand-up comedy many years ago, so you know, I've been heckled and abused and all that kind of by audiences through the years, and I think that's a good thing in comedy. But from a trainer's point of view, or a speaker's point of view, there is one time that stands out, and I was ill a few years ago, and I should have cancelled, or, you know, asked another person to step in on my behalf, because I shouldn't have been there. And I went to the, but I didn't. I went to the training, and I hobbled in the room, and I obviously was not in a fit state to be there, and began doing the training. And then somebody put their hand up quite quickly and asked me what was wrong with me and why I didn't take care of myself. And they started giving me advice about how they thought I should take care of myself, making a lot of assumptions about why I was ill. And I'd never had that experience before. And looking back, you know, I realized that actually, whilst as a performer, you know, we can do training, we can do speaking, we can still work while we're relatively sometimes under the weather, whether we've got a cold or a flu or, you know, a bug or something, you know, we can get through that. But sometimes we have to know when it's actually too much, and we just need to call time on it and get somebody else to step in, or even sometimes cancel. And I think as a singer of almost 20 years, I think I cancelled maybe 2 shows. One where I had flu so bad and I lost my voice and I literally couldn't sing, and that's why I cancelled. And the other one was when I was stuck in a traffic jam and a plane had landed on the carriageway of a road that I was on. You know, I didn't see them. It was way in front of me, and it was a complete jam for hours on the motorway. And I just physically couldn't get to the venue, and I had to cancel. And those are the only 2 times out of thousands of shows that I cancelled as a singer. So sometimes it happens, not very often, but sometimes, and you have to know when to do it, especially if you're ill. So that was the one. Michael asks, how do you find a USP as a coach? And I think I mentioned something similar to this earlier in this Q&A, in that just be really, really honest with yourself about what you enjoy, who you enjoy spending time with, coaching with, and what you are really interested in. Now, if you're trained as a coach, and as I said earlier, I think it's a great idea to get some training, you will have a toolkit. You'll basically be able to theoretically coach with almost anyone. But actually, the truth is, you wouldn't be interested to work with everyone, because some people, what they want to coach on isn't interesting for you. So I think ethically and authentically, if you can be true to who you are, that's going to be your USP. So for example, I like to work with people who are looking at building a business online, maybe shooting videos. They have a speech to give, they're getting nervous speaking up, they're shy. And so, because kind of this has been my journey too, and so I'm genuinely, when I work with a client, I am genuinely in their corner, supporting them and rah-rahing them on, because that's where I've been too. So that's what I'm saying about being authentic. And if you can be authentic, then that will be your USP. Okay, last couple of questions here. Justin asks, what camera and editing software do you use to make your videos? So right now I'm using my iPhone XS or XS as I call it. So that's the one I'm shooting my video on. I've got a DSLR, Canon as well, and also a Panasonic camcorder, which I filmed my online course on last year. But I think personally, I think smartphones, they're so good now that you can film video blogs on them. So that's what I'm using. I'm using a Rode mic, which has the case here, which I did a review on a few months ago or last year or something. You'll find a video just below this with that on as well. And the editing software is ScreenFlow for Mac. So again, I'll leave a link just below here so you can check that out. So that's what I use to make these videos. And then the final question, Carl asks, why do you still attend training events and take courses after being in business for so many years? The reason is, I mentioned earlier, the Stephen Covey habit, I think it's habit 7, sharpen the saw. It keeps us fresh. It keeps me interested in the subject and finding out new ways and new perspectives and new ideas and new energies and meeting new people. I mean, all the good stuff, all the reasons why I do what I do, whether I'm a coach or a trainer or a speaker or make videos. Again, the one constant for all of that is I like working with people. I like to have a conversation or conversations with people. And so the reason I attend all those events, and I still have a coach, as I say, as well, is because it keeps me plugged in. And I'm all I can say is, after doing this for 17 years now, I'm loving it. So, question of the day, what was it that you wanted to ask me that maybe I haven't covered in this video? Let me know, leave a comment in the box below. And if you have enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. And if it's been your first time here, consider subscribing and also hitting the notification bell just so you get to know each and every time I upload a new video. Remember, this channel is all about sharing ideas, tools, and techniques to help you speak with more confidence, make better videos, and grow your business. I'm Mike Blissett. Take care.